So everything else that came along with it is also all over the place. So I'm going to completely dump what I had planned to speak and just talk about 5 or 6 stories, 5 or 6 examples of research that have come out of India. What kind of research has happened in our country, and where is it that we see this going from this point on? One of the very interesting examples of research was in the medical field, right? All of us know about the number of new diseases that are being discovered, and one of the very common ways in which you combat diseases is by vaccination. Today, vaccination is usually, I'm so sorry. Today, vaccination is usually given in the form of either oral vaccines or in form of injectables. One of the major challenges when you talk about vaccination in form of oral vaccines or injectables is that how is it that you will take these vaccines to the rural areas? Now, giving it in a city like Delhi or giving it in a city like Mumbai is not such a big challenge. You will have clinics all around. The clinics will have refrigerators to store it. You probably have a delivery mechanism by which logistically you can get the vaccine to the right place, because many of these vaccines degenerate when they are heated. Many of these vaccines will change their nature if they are subjected to extreme temperatures. They are not very stable compounds. One of the very interesting research that has been carried out over the last 6 years in our country is how is it that we can graft vaccines into food grains, such that you can take a potato and you graft, let's say, a malarial vaccine into it. You supply the potato across the country. People who eat potato are vaccinated against malaria. You supply a wheat that allows you to get vaccinated, or at least develop a resistance towards, let's say, chikungunya. This concept is known as edible vaccines. Vaccines that need not be injected, they need not be swallowed, they need not be stored, they can be eaten as food grains. They can even be cooked and made into a form of a gravy. In the world, around 26, 27 publications have come out in this area. And India has that unique honor of having one paper out of the 26 being published by our researchers. The other great thing that we've been working on, that people love talking about, is how pollution can be tackled. And being in Delhi, I think that's one of the most sensitive issues. We have such a large amount of pollutants in our air, and especially what we call particulate pollution. There are 2 kinds of pollutions that affect us chemically and pollutions that cause allergic reaction because of the particulate sizes. And most of the smog that we talk about is usually particulate pollution, particulates of a certain this thing. There was a very interesting research done by a group of researchers that came out with a very simple filtration mechanism. And they said, you know what, you can take the filtration mechanism and we'll put it across the country in Delhi, across the city, and we'll attach fans to it. And as the fans blow air through the filter, more and more of these air can be filtered, and over a period of time, we may get clean air. They tried it, of course, and then a few weeks later, they realized that the power that they will spend on running these fans makes it absolutely impossible for you to do this on a large scale. And they got stuck there. They got stuck there for a period of 2.5 years before they realized that their problem was staring right in their faces. They realized that the cause of pollution was vehicles. And vehicles have another fantastic property along with them. Vehicles move, which means air passes through vehicles. You take the same filters, install them on top of moving vehicles. When the vehicle moves, it automatically pumps air through your filtration system. As long as your filter is purifying more air than particulates being generated by your vehicle, you will be able to clean the environment in a matter of days. The calculation today stands that if every Delhi Transport Corporation bus were to be filtered by this, were to be installed with this air filter, the particulate matter pollution can come down in Delhi in 48 days. And you know where the project is right now? It's lying in the desk of the Delhi Transport Authority, which have seized all the buses that did the experiment on it, saying that, you know what, buses that are used for transporting people cannot have anything installed on top of them. So we will not allow this experiment to go on. So now the researchers are struggling to get through a permission to see if we can test this on a large scale. So innovation, in a lot of ways, is not just, like many of my speakers have spoken before, is not just about finding something great. It is about having the ability to take it to the right people, make the right noises, and make sure that lot more people believe in what you're talking about. One of the reasons we have all gathered here today is to see if any of these projects, any of these ideas that we talk about, can actually be championed by some of us. There might be one among you who might be able to make a difference. And that is one of the reasons we always keep talking about how important the Vein platform is. A platform where every single innovative idea can be captured, is visible to everybody around us. There is a group of researchers that is working on what we call space law. What is space law? Now, a couple of days back, I saw this article by Elon Musk, this interview by Elon Musk, where he is bidding for a project to send 4,225 satellites into space to provide global internet coverage. How many satellites are there in the world today that are active? There are less than 1,500 satellites. So there is a company out there that wants to send 3 times more satellites in the next 3 years than we have done in our entire past to provide internet to people. This is the same company that is able to launch a spacecraft and land it back without damaging it. That is the first example. Not even NASA had done this before. Which means to say it's only a matter of time before we can launch spacecrafts and they return back to Earth. Which means to say that if a meteorite passes by the Earth, you can mine it. Why are you searching for uranium and plutonium inside the Earth? Why are you polluting the Earth? Let's pollute the Mars. Let's pollute Moon. Let's pollute the meteorite that passes by now and comes back after 1 billion years. Let's take everything from it. But then what governs this particular technology? What law? Who do these resources belong to? Does it belong to the company that has the technology? Does it belong to the country in which the company is registered? Does it belong to the countries where the people originated from who invented this technology? How do we govern this? And there's actually a group of researchers, and these are mostly lawyers who are sitting in and trying to create an international framework as to how can space be regulated. And this becomes very, very important in the short term. And even within the framework of legal this thing in our country, in our world, there are a lot of loopholes. How many of you have heard of the Wyoming district in the US? I can hear someone laughing. So this is a very interesting situation where US has a jury system, which means that a judge presides, a judge like a moderator can only preside over it. He can't say what is right, what is wrong. But the jury decides. The jury decides whether the person is guilty or not and what punishment is to be given to him. The judge can advise the jury. He can say, you know what, I think this is legally correct or legally wrong. But the judge cannot take the decision. It's in the hands of the public. The Wyoming district in Yellowstone National Park, the Idaho part of it, is a district that has a registered voter population of 0. Which means to say that if I picked up a fight with this young gentleman here, I pulled him into Wyoming and I killed him, I cannot be punished because you cannot form a jury in that district because there are no people. This is a fallacy, and there are so many such legal loopholes, not only in the US system but also in the Indian law. And there are a lot of people who are aware of them and they use them very, very cleverly. So there is an entire set of researchers who are working on finding out these flaws and trying to find out as to how the law needs to be addressed to solve these kind of issues.